Hey everybody, welcome to today's presentation. I'm going to be talking about how the Small Business Administration is failing small businesses under the CARES Act and two specific loan and grant programs underneath that. So to get started, give you some context for what we're talking about. And first of all, thank you for joining me on this video. But also be aware there are two previous videos where we got together and went through some of this information and discussed the programs in more detail as we were first learning about them. So this is more of a follow-up video to those. So if you're looking for a beginning information about the PPP or the EIDL programs, please go back and look at my videos in this playlist, numbers 1 and 2, on the Slim Polsky YouTube channel. Now, today we're going to be talking about the CARES Act, and as I just mentioned, two programs that were meant to aid small business under this current disaster declaration. First one is the Paycheck Protection Program, or the PPP. Second one is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, or the EIDL. We'll start with the PPP problems as I see it. So this particular program, I should say, is different from the EIDL, primarily in the fact that the PPP, while administered by the Small Business Administration and backed financially by the Small Business Administration, this one is actually one where you get a loan from your bank as a small business, and then the bank, if it's a certified lender under the PPP, the bank has this loan guaranteed, similar to like a VA home loan. So the bank, as long as they follow the rules, they cannot lose money. If you default on the loan, the SBA will pay the bank back that money. That's what an SBA-backed loan is. That's what this PPP program is. So the issues we have here right now are that the guidance from the SBA to banks, as they are interpreting the law, is really missing the mark of what I believe the law was trying to accomplish here for small business. And the second thing is that we see banks are inserting their own self-interest in this process. So let's talk about my point here about the Small Business Administration guidance. And I've read the final rule, or the current interim rule, I should say, in the Code of Federal Regulations, word for word. And it's heartbreaking. However, if we go to the law itself, and not the Code of Federal Regulations interim rule, which is how a governing administration interprets the law into actual rules, we'll talk about what the PPP says at its core, in the law, okay? And at its core, it was meant to cover these things. In fact, the SBA sample application and the actual application that I filled out for a PPP loan asked or had me verify which of these 4 categories of use my loan money would be going toward. Here's the actual law. Okay, so here we can see there's a number of items. Payroll costs, certainly, first and foremost. Group health care benefits, employee salary and compensation, mortgage obligations, interest, rent under an agreement, utilities, and then prior debt obligation interest. So that's what you can use this money for. That's what the point of these covered loans is. That's the word of Congress as signed by the president right there. That's active law. So what we're seeing in practice is that the Small Business Administration has put forth an application that bases the entire loan amount on only one factor. And that's the factor that you see right there, payroll costs. So if you're a business that has 10 or more employees, for instance, this is probably not a bad thing. In fact, I don't think that using payroll costs as one of the qualification measures for the amount of funds you get, etc., I don't think that's a problem. I think this part is correct. The problem is that it's being used exclusively. So if you, like me, or an organization that does not currently, I've had employees in the past. I do not currently have employees. It's just me. So basically what they've done is they've said, take the number of employees you have on payroll and your monthly payroll costs and take off anything over $100,000 per person right off the top. take that number, so maximum of $120,000 per employee, or I should say maximum of $100,000 per employee, divide that by 12, and then multiply that monthly number by 2.5. So, for instance, if you had a $12,000 a month average payroll, you're only eligible to apply for $37,500. This is meant to provide a lot more money than that to small businesses. And what I can also tell you is that for certain small businesses like my own, where the majority of, as an S corporation, I do not do a big payroll unless I've got employees. In general, payroll is not the ideal way for me to structure my cash flow. So, most of my income goes directly toward those other expenses and uses. So that's my business income. It goes directly to the rent. It goes directly to the utilities. It goes directly to other deductible business expenses. In the end, if I do payroll at all, it's whatever's left over. And that's not a large number. It's certainly not representative of overall compensation. So this is an ugly loophole that those of us with real costs in small business, especially, again, if you're 0 to 5 employees, this is going to kill you. You're not going to get anything out of this of real value. To make it worse, then we have the opportunistic banks who, even though, as I just described, have absolutely zero risk in providing these loans, provided that and we're like literally the law is requiring that we self-certify a lot of these things. So it's not even up to the bank to screen. They're going to get their money back from the SBA. However, they're putting up hurdles for you to jump over so that they can make a profit in the process. For instance, requiring you to sign up for one of their credit cards if you don't, as a business, have a business banking credit card or line of credit or other business service that they make money on. It's a product for them. For them to require that to take your loan application should be illegal, and it's going on. Here's an example of a communication from the Bank of America Small Business website. For example, you have to apply online. They tell you up front on the same page, do not call or talk to any actual individual at a bank. Do not go to a bank site because no one knows anything. No one will know anything. And here's the things that they're asking you to put together. I can tell you that my personal experience with Bank of America up to this point, it just so happened that I had the credit card account that they required for you to apply. I had all of those things just by chance. So then I was able to apply on the first day that the application went live. I applied on the day the application went live. I received a call finally this past Saturday from a random Seattle phone number, not even listed as Bank of America, probably some guy working from home, who said he was with the Bank of America PPP loan program, left me a voicemail with his phone number, directing me to a website. And in fact, he directed me to the website where I took this clip that you're looking at right now. So I called him right back. He didn't answer. I left him a voicemail. That was on Saturday. Today being Wednesday? Yes. So on Monday, he called back the day after Easter. He called me back again, and I missed him because he called at like 6:52 in the morning Pacific time, something like that. I called back as soon as I got my wits about me. Again, got his voicemail. He never left me a message that day. I left him another message and I left 2 messages with this banker saying the same thing. Please be a professional. Send me an email or leave me another voicemail with even a time window so I can be near my phone and be prepared to take this call. I want to speak with you, but just playing random phone tag is just a good way to not get anything done. That to me feels like the actual strategy. I wouldn't be surprised if as part of some investigation into this later on, we're going to see some actual conference call footage where Bank of America executives are telling their loan officers out there, do whatever you can to dodge these people, don't actually speak to them, do the bare minimum to pretend we're doing this. For whatever reason, my experience with banks in this process is as bad or worse. But I can tell you the banks are going to get bailed out. We will not. Now, let's move on to the EIDL. Enough of the PPP. The EIDL is the one that is an actual, so I would say the PPP program, what I was trying to show you there is that I think that the application process and the guidance implemented by the Small Business Administration goes against the spirit of the law, if not the letter. I can tell you that in the case of the EIDL, the Small Business Administration, I'm about to prove it to you, literally violates the law in writing itself. It's not a judgment call or an interpretation of the law. They're violating the law that they're sworn to uphold. So let's talk about that, starting with the EIDL emergency grant process. Now, the key to the EIDL, and this is a very interesting one, a lot of people have applied for this. A, you don't need a banking relationship with someone to loan you the money. You literally just need an account to have the money deposited into, and you go to the SBA website, you apply for the emergency or the economic injury disaster loan. And in the case of this loan, you can apply for up to, I believe it's $200,000, not more than $200,000, just based on your credit score. No other collateral required. And as part of that application process, you are eligible for up to for a grant of up to $10,000 in advance. And if you ask for that advance, you should receive it within, not should, you will receive it in 3 days. So let's look at this. If we read this right in front of us, again, this is the law, the same, straight out of the Federal Register, okay? Where were we? That first paragraph. So let's see here. If we go to, all right, we've got, in response to COVID-19, may request that the administrator, that's the SBA, provide an advance, that is, subject to paragraph 3, and that's the eligibility requirements, which, okay, we're eligible, in the amount requested by such applicant to such applicant within 3 days after the administrator receives an application from such applicant. So that's the key right there. That's what's being violated. First of all, it is not up to the Small Business Administration to determine whether you get $1,000 or $10,000 as a grant advance. It's not their call. It says it right here. Amount requested by such applicant. It's not the amount decided by SBA. The amount requested by such applicant. That's you and me, the applicant. Okay? The second piece that they're violating is within 3 days after receiving the application. So you click send on that application, they had 3 days. Okay, I can tell you in my case, it's been over 2 weeks. Maybe 3 weeks. I mean, well, what's today? I applied on the 31st. That I can tell you. Okay. So yeah, it's been just over 2 weeks now. I've received nothing. And the real gut punch here is that the SBA, after that, decided to come out with another piece of guidance. So here's the Small Business Administration itself countermanding the law that we just read, which was signed by the president, okay, enacted into law. If we look at that bold part there, to ensure that the greatest number of applicants, that's an interesting excuse, can receive assistance, the amount of your advance will be determined by the number of your employees. Here they go with this employee test again. There is no employee test in the EIDL process whatsoever. It says here the advance will provide $1,000 per employee up to a maximum of $10,000. First of all, the SBA does not get to choose in that grant process. You ask for $10,000, you get $10,000. As long as you self-certify under perjury of law, it's mind-blowing to me. So again, nothing within weeks, let alone 3 days. That's the other thing they're violating. The law itself required that advance grant be given in 3 days. They haven't done that. The amount is not up to the SBA. It's up to us. That's a violation of the law, plain and simple. So write your senators and your congressional representatives, get the media to cover this in specific, not just these broad headlines like PPP program has problems, stumbles, failures, EIDL, they're not getting into the detail of this enough. And the detail of this is that literally in the case of the EIDL, the law is being broken. In the case of the PPP, it's being miscarried at the very least. I know I've published this. I published an open letter to Twitter. I shared that directly with the SBA. I've never, by the way, ever had a response from the SBA on anything I've communicated to them, whether that's a loan application, approval, denial. Never heard anything back still to this day. I have heard back from Congressman Cisneros in my congressional district. he had like a 21-year-old staffer who didn't know anything about anything return the call. I appreciate that there's at least a process in place there. And then gave me a contact of someone in the SBA to write to who hasn't written me back. He said he was going to send me a full email with more instructions and help. Never got an email from Congressman Cisneros' office. I'm going to have to call them back again. None of the other senators or congressmen that I've written to have replied. I've gotten some retweets from certain journalists saying, we covered that. They're now covering the actual specific issues. It's a real problem. So I hope that, I know that's not going to make anyone happy, but I hope that at least sheds some light on what's actually going on with this problem right now. And in the meantime, I appreciate you guys joining me here. Really what I want to do is I want to hear from you in the comments. Okay, so in the comments for this video, tell me your story. I want to hear more. And what I want to do is make sure that we can get those accounts together and I can include them in the accounts that I share with Congress, with the media, with senators, with local and state politicians. We need to do something about this. We can't just lay down and take it the way it is. I know I'm not going to. In the meantime, you can catch my live streams on Twitch at Slim Polsky. There's my Twitter handle for you there, also at Slim Polsky, keeping it pretty straightforward. And on YouTube, I'm also Slim Polsky, which is probably where you're seeing this now. So again, thank you. Please give me a follow on any of those things if you want to keep up with this. I appreciate that. And more importantly, I want to hear from you in the comments. If you can just write some brief summary of what's going on with your PPP loan or EIDL loan situation in the comments. I will be reading and responding to each one of those and contacting you directly if I want to try and include that in any kind of future coverage or communications that I do. But I'm just trying to reach out to people that are in this situation so we can band together and hopefully, get some change to happen. So again, thank you. It's been my privilege, and I hope to hear from you soon. Take care.